we're ready, everybody. Let's get this party started. Let's put Bart aside and let's get the party started. 5K count. Quick update from the morning. We are at $5,400. We had a couple of long positions in the morning, if y'all remember, right? We had the Ren perp long, we had Ren spot, and we had the BTC perp long as well. We actually closed the BTC perp this morning in profit. So I was very glad about that. This P&L does not reflect the morning video, but we actually were able to close out the BTC long at $150 profit. The Ren long, we had to take a $50 loss on, so overall $100 profit in both those trades. And then we had the Ren spot position, which as of this morning, like I was kind of feeling uncertain about it. If you pull up the Ren chart right here, you know, one of the things that I was kind of looking at in the morning session was the fact that we were kind of double topping in this area. And around here was when I decided that, you know what, looks like Ren is going to start breaking down. So we cut our trade basically right there. And as you can see, Ren started to break down with the rest of the market. So at that particular point, we were fully in a cash position after selling this Ren. Okay, so this was the screenshot right before we sold. And then, you know, just not too long ago, we decided to get short in some of these assets, Matic, ADA, and AVAX. And I'll talk about some of the reasons why I'm shorting right now. But overall, you know, one thing I want to discuss is that I think market positioning right now, if I were to take any trade, you know, obviously it's a short trade, but, you know, I'm not completely ignoring the idea that things can turn around today or tomorrow, and the market can just, you know, push up. And I don't mean like start a bull market, meaning like the market could push up from here and then maybe next week, next month, then it could dump lower, right? Like I'm not opposed to that idea either. So where I am currently in my stance is, I think there's a lot of sort of uncertainty and fear still within the realm of whether it's crypto markets or US equity markets, you know, FX markets, whatever, right? And it doesn't matter how you want to ingest that fear. If you think that that fear is good to long, then, you know, so be it, right? If that's how you anticipate and you know, interpret that fear. From my perspective, I think the momentum is still, once again, pointing to the downside because, you know, here's another thing that kind of happened. This was a key level that BTC should not have broken below, which was the February monthly open and the weekly open. And remember this morning when we were long, right? We had taken this long yesterday here. We rode it right here and then we sold off right around this candle before it started to break down. Okay, once we started to see this candle break down, okay, I did not go short right away, nor did I long. I said, you know what, let's spend some time here. Let's see if BTC, if given enough time, can reclaim this monthly open and start heading up higher. So far, nothing yet, right? Yeah, it's possible that it might happen later today or tonight, but you know, this doesn't really look that good to me. This is a pretty strong break right through a very, very key contextual level. And so the strong break and then following up with something like this, this is, in my opinion, telling of the fact that maybe there's the sellers are still pretty active in the market, and that maybe the bulls are, I don't know, maybe underestimating their strength. So in this particular situation, I don't mind being short, right? So I picked up a bunch of short positions. In the 5K count, I've kept them relatively small. Like Matic is only $2,000 position. AVAX is a $1,000 position. ADA is a $1,000 position. So you can see I'm not going heavy, right? Like I'm not excited to just go balls to the walls like short, okay? I'm excited enough to go short that I believe that the momentum to the downside is being greatly underappreciated. meaning the fact that the market overall has been trending down for the last 2 months, and it continues to show every time we pop up, we get breakdowns, right? That the fact that the market keeps doing that is telling me that maybe people are not thinking of the trend the right way. In which case, maybe from here, having another breakdown to the downside is the least anticipated possibility, right? So for example, the least anticipated possibility right now is if today or tomorrow or this coming week, we start breaking down into 36, 35, 33K, something like that. I think that will be a scenario that catches a lot of people off guard. Because if that happens, right, let's just say those who are long right here, what do? Do they wait for this level to, bounce price? Do they wait for this level to bounce price right here? At what point did they get out? And what if the market, becomes a full-blown capitulation-like moment where it just keeps breaking and breaking and breaking and wicking down, right? Not all the way to like 20,000 or something, but I don't know, maybe like 28, 27, 25. What if it does something like that? Are people prepared for something like that? Or are they going to be forced sellers? So I'm thinking through my mind that might be a situation that I don't mind sort of placing my chips on, that if we see a breakdown, I want to be short, right? However, I want to be short in small size, like I said, with the optionality of keeping my stops tight. So with ADA, okay, I want to keep my stop, once again, kind of tight, right? I want to keep my stop probably around, let me see here. Okay, so I'm going to keep my stop around 96. Hang on, what did I say, 95 or 96? 96 for ADA, and AVAX is 82, right? I think Matic I've already set for 155. Okay, so we're just going to do that real quick. So 96. So, if I get stopped out of my ADA position, $1,000 position, that's a $130 loss. That's okay. I can tolerate that, right? Where's our AVAX position? AVAX, we shorted around 74.6 or so. If we short that, we're going to keep a stop just above 82. Okay, so we're going to keep our stop around 82. And this kind of guarantees that, if we're wrong in the market, right? Say we just get a massive, massive rip up in the market, like tonight or tomorrow, then we're protected, okay? Same thing with Matic, okay? Matic is one of our positions that we have. I've kept my stop above this local high around $1.55. If that stop hits, then that means the market is clearly turning around and it might go higher, okay? We don't even know how high it can go, but the point is it's going to go higher, right? So you want to get out at a reasonable price, but you also want to be positioned in a way where you can get long if you need to at a reasonable price. You don't want to have your short positioning bleed you out and give you a bias that you don't want to change, right? You never want to be in a situation where you feel like flipping to the other side is going to create a losing position for your current trades, right? You never want to feel guilty for stuff like that. You just want to say, you know what? I'm a trader. If X level breaks, and that means I need to flip my bias and go with the momentum of the market. And so as of right now, what I see in the market is just, maybe sticking to my short bias. Let's see how it pans out by today, tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Now, in the morning session, I talked to Advantage members about a couple of things, right? First things first, what we talked about was the positioning in the market from FTX, Bitstamp, and Coinbase. So FTX, I think, is abundantly clear, which is that overall open interest continues to head down. This means that more than likely, as the market keeps going down, the short positioning in the market is just getting clobbered. A long positioning in the market is getting clobbered, because open interest is nothing but a metric to gauge the amount of futures contracts that are opening or closing. And so if you see this trend going down like this, as the market overall is going down like this, then that means that not a whole lot of longs are entering the system. So that's one thing, okay? Number two, if you actually look in this area right here, before we actually started to break down from here like that, what was happening? Well, in that particular region, you had the CVD actually pushing up, meaning buyers, especially more than likely retail or smaller whales, were trying to keep buying and buying and buying, but they were not making any difference right here because the price was actually not moving. So this is indicative of the fact that no matter who's buying here and trying to drive up the price, the seller here is very, very aggressive and willing to absorb any buying that happens, meaning they have a lot to sell in this particular area and they can absorb all the buying that's happening. So once again, we know that the aggressor in the market here is the seller and the seller is not budging. So we now have two metrics telling us that market overall is still not ready to move up. And in fact, the fact that we broke today through key levels, which was the monthly open right here and the weekly open, as you can see, the fact that we broke through those levels and have not been able to reclaim those is indicative of the fact that the seller is still really strong in the market and you probably don't want to go long just yet. In fact, the argument is that the sellers are going to punish the buyers, in which case, this is going to start breaking down, open interest is going to start breaking down, price is going to start breaking down. Okay, now that's perp contract, meaning futures. So let's go to Coinbase real quick, and then we'll go to Bitfinex, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so Bitfinex right now is telling us that overall, once again, the overall delta happening in this area. Okay, so check this out, right? So once again, price came into a high right here. Okay, buyers are probably trying to buy, but overall Bitfinex, which is spot, is actually selling. So once again, you have confirmation from the biggest whales in the market, which are generally the Bitfinex players. I'm sorry, the biggest institutional traders, which are generally operating on Coinbase, are telling you that, hey, it looks like there's a lot of selling happening. Okay, now we have finally Bitfinex. Okay, what is Bitfinex telling us? Okay, Bitfinex is telling us that, once again, in this particular region, right here, overall open interest is going down. Okay, Bitfinex, this is a futures contract of Bitfinex, right? Overall open interest is going down. CVD, which is again, buying delta minus selling delta. After we broke down from this cliff, you could see CVD has not been able to recover. It's just been going sideways for a while. So in this particular instance, again, what you're seeing is, yes, prices are floating up, but only into key resistance points. And the bigger whales that operate on Coinbase or Bitfinex are not reflecting a bull bias. In fact, they're saying, hey, we're closing out our longs, as you can see by open interest going down right here. And the delta right here is telling you that there's not really a whole lot of buying happening. Because if there was buying happening, this would start trending up like this, and open interest would start trending up like this. Okay, so we now have different data points from the futures contracts like FTX and from the spot exchanges like Bitfinex and Coinbase telling us that something is off in the market. The market is still relatively weak, and we need to be careful of our long positioning in the market. Which brings us now to being short, right? Now, being short, I think, is as simple as looking at the overall momentum in the market. Okay, yeah, you could be wrong, but in this particular situation, it's okay to be short and wrong, because short and wrong means that means the market is finding some really strong strength to push through key resistance points. Okay, and that has not happened for a while. The last several months, what we've effectively seen is that every time the market finds some point of support and it bounces, well, it quickly gets sold off. Like here's a perfect example right here. Here's another perfect example right here, right? Same thing right here, pushes up, gets sold off, pushes up, gets sold off. Maybe this is the same thing that's happening right now. Big wick created, pushes up, maybe we're ready for a sell-off. Now, even if BTC doesn't start breaking down as hard, if Bitcoin drops, let's just say 5-7%, right? And maybe takes us back into 35,000, 33,000. I think the altcoins themselves are going to get hit with another negative 8, 10, 15% day in the coming 24, 48 hours. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I want to stay short alts, especially those alts that look relatively weak and have pretty defined levels, pretty defined SR levels that are showing us that we're breaking inside those key SR levels. So on a daily basis, AVAX is breaking inside $80, which on a daily basis is, as you can see, is a pretty crucial SR level, right? Matic, same thing. We rejected 153, which is again another key SR level across the board right here, okay? And we're rejecting that and starting to break down, in which case the breakdown level, the next support level is 126 at least, which we've pretty much tapped like once and then twice right here. So next time on the way down, at the very least, Matic tests 126 and quite possibly, $1 flat, or I don't know how much lower it can go. But the point is that, I think right now I just want to stay short in the market in small size and keep my stop at the places that I've defined. Cool. Now, if we look at the order books, I'm not really seeing anything special. Like, I don't really know if you're going to start seeing anything big happen in the order books unless the US markets start opening up tomorrow, which might bring on a lot of carnage. You can kind of see here's the ES, which is the futures contract of the S&P 500. It gapped down pretty damn hard overnight, or not overnight, but right at the open. But not the worst thing in the world. It's not like, we can't close this gap up by tomorrow, right? Like, it's not the end of the world that this happened. But now what could happen is if the S&P 500 futures contract starts breaking down further and further, and say by the time tomorrow morning, New York session, we're back towards the previous lows that we put in last week, that is not going to be a good thing. Okay, so that's another situation that I'm watching. But if you are, let's just say, going short and you want to hang on to your shorts overnight, keep an eye on this ES contract and see if it starts drifting up like this. Okay, you may have some potential longing opportunities, like you can scalp long in the market, or if the market drifts up like this, you can short, higher at these levels, because it's guaranteed almost that the ES is going to drag Bitcoin up with it. Parts of the crypto market are going to come up with it, right? So it's like a pretty simple trade when it comes to, watching the market, is just kind of watch the futures contract of the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ contract, which is NQ right here, okay? They're both effectively trading, almost one-to-one as well. And BTC trades one-to-one with it. Cool. Okay, so we talked about the heat map data, CVD, and then open interest. I'm not really seeing anything special in just individual open interest of coins. Like, there's random stuff that's happening where you see Filecoin that has, a good amount of open interest that opened up in the last 24 hours. But I think a lot of these altcoins are going to get dragged down if BTC starts to break down. Okay, same thing with Uniswap, right? I think Uniswap was up like 14% or something on the day. You can kind of see that, from the highs, it's starting to come back down. Now, it is possible that Uniswap pushes higher before it breaks down, but it's something that you want to also watch. Like, you don't want to get too aggressive with something like Uniswap. Just because it's trading higher doesn't mean it can, break down as hard. Like, that's one of the logic points that people have is, hey, well, Luna was trading up so hard. Well, if I short Luna now, right, this has to come down. Like, that's the logic of a lot of people, but not really. Like, what you want to focus on in situations like this is just focus on the weaker assets, okay? Focus on Solana, which has barely been able to get off the lows. Focus on things like FTM, which is looking like shit and has broken this, multi-month trend line, right? Focus on the assets that look the weakest, like, One Harmony, okay? Clear, lower highs after lower lows being printed. Okay, no need to be a hero and try to short something like Uni, which is actually up 8% on the day, but you think that it has to break down from here, or same thing with Luna, okay? Focus on the easier plays. All right, what else? What else can I cover? It's not really a whole lot else I want to talk about. I think my Twitter is just, a lot of interesting stuff going on. Obviously a lot of talk about Russia and Ukraine. I really don't know what's going to happen. All I know is markets are still in limbo, lots of uncertainty. I don't think you want to fade events like this and say, hey, this is a nothing burger and crypto is going to go up, and our market has nothing to do with that, right? This obviously, the whole world is watching this, okay? Bigger funds, bigger institutions are watching this. And in some way, it's going to impact their psyche. It's going to impact their positioning, in which case it's going to impact pretty much all markets all around the globe. So it's okay to be a little bit more risk averse, and either you can stay short or you can just stay flat, right? But don't think that you need to be a hero today and you have to go long in the market, because you really don't. All right. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I've already talked about this article, An Argument for DeFi 3.0. It's in our Discord community. We talked about other things that I'm paying attention to in the market. The NFT gaming section has been pretty hot and active. Make sure y'all check it out. And then that's it. All right. Let's see how the market fares over the next, few hours or a few days, and we'll go from there. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Y'all take care. Good luck, and we'll talk soon.